without security, there are no freedoms. And what comes to mind very much when we hear things like that, and it came to my mind as I sat there, was that both Laverne and Robert experienced this. They both understand personally what it means to not have security, what it means to have lost your freedom. And it is so interesting that because of that experience, we are all here today. Isn't that quite interesting? And I am particularly touched by that statement that the High Commissioner just made. So I understand also that what Laverne and Robert both experienced, because it has birthed this very, very dynamic group, Victim Support Foundation, that we can now feel and share some of the pain that they went through, but even more so, we can now become advocates along with them to bring change to our nation. Mrs. Laverne Henry, she founded Victim Support Foundation in January 2011. Of course, we know the story, many of us, after being a victim of a home invasion, robbery, physical and sexual assault back in 2009. As a businesswoman for the past 6 years, Laverne discovered the weaknesses of our social systems, while of course on her journey through this whole transformation. And of course her challenges birthed a passion within her and her husband to help the many victims who are out there, and we know they are out there. Some of them may be also in here. So I would wish that you would stand to your feet, and as we put our hands together and welcome to the podium Mrs. Laverne Henry.
Please have your seat. For 1 second, started to wonder, who you were trying to introduce, because many times you think you're experiencing deja vu. You're watching a Lifetime movie unfold. But I appreciate and I so connect with His Excellency and his level of detail and how he described the type of support that we needed. Even before you said that, Your Excellency, I had an inclination, because when you speak to persons who have what I call a testimony, there is a level of passion and detail that cannot come by a book. Because of course, by no means did I ever envision my life to be here at this point in time today. I probably would have the white picket fence with the children running in the yard and, career and everything else. But destiny had a different intention, I believe. But I like to quote Maya Angelou. I just love the way she expresses herself, and also being a victim, a survivor. She speaks about the butterfly, where we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the change it has gone through to achieve that beauty. And even as I stand here today, I still see myself as a caterpillar. I know that it's probably, the transformation may not end anytime soon, but the Victim Support Foundation is that expression that I implore, and I use that tool to extend other persons, other victims, to join me in that transformation. Don't stay in the caterpillar stage. Always continue along the journey. And all your professionals and psychological professionals tell you that many times the danger comes where the person is stuck. when the victim has given up on trying to help the transformation. And with that, the systems that the intention of the foundation was simply to duplicate and replicate the transformation and the support systems that my family and I was availed to, and which would then constitute to the what you see today, why we are here today. So it was by no means easy, and it still isn't. But if for some reason some one person can be touched by it, I think we would have completed and fulfilled our purpose here. So our vision as a foundation is to curb the social effects. And might I add social, because we're not getting into the politics. We just need to, as His Excellency said, focus on the community. Start with yourself. Don't look to blame anybody else. Start with yourself. And those aspects of your social environment would now help to shape your recovery process. And as our mission, to be a catalyst for recovery, through which victims of violent crime benefit from professional support and experience mental, emotional, and spiritual wholeness. And many people ask, why did you put in spiritual wholeness? Because at that point in time of being so vulnerable as a victim, even atheists can ask God why. You have questions for God that nobody can answer, whoever you think God is. So that understanding that even getting past there takes some sort of recovery step. Our objectives for this specific program, we identified the educating of victims and the public on support techniques that assist on the journey of recovery. We also identified supporting victims through emotional and practical support and aftercare, which is, in many cases, that's where the community comes in, the aftercare. Because it's after the event your neighbor says something, it's after the event your family member doesn't understand why you're getting on the way you do. The aftercare many times determines our speed of recovery, and understanding that these aspects of the recovery process is what we are focusing, would be what we are focusing on. Our strategic approach to victim support. I'm just that kind of person that I believe Solomon when he said there's nothing new under the sun. So at my point of the lowest that I've ever been in my life, I looked around and I said, there must be somebody else in the world who's been here. How did they get out? And I began to do research. And I found a few people. I even found a few organizations. And I found a few countries. And in identifying, even reflecting, now, of course, retrospect is 2020, now I can understand how all the facets of support came in to contribute to our growth and recovery as a family. And our intention is to strategically infiltrate and affect all these 4 sectors. And it's not just a thesis. This is a reality for me. From the business sector, I remember specifically because of the incident, my glasses was broken. And anyone who knows me knows I can't see without my glasses. So at the point in time, the service provider that I purchased the glasses from, they heard of the incident, they took my glasses, fixed it for free. In the meantime, I received contact lenses, tested contact lenses for free until I got back my glasses. So that there's actually no aspect of support within your business community, your residential community, your family community. There's no aspect that cannot contribute. There is no one that can say there is nothing that I can do. We each can do something. So this project highlights the societal stage or the societal quadrant of our support strategy, where we get into the community and affect and empower your residential community as well as your business community, your religious community. There are programs that we can run in your churches, your place of worship, and all coming out of the research that we were able to direct the community impact into the use of the model created by Heaven's Rays Productions. This is a unique approach that I have never knew about. I didn't even know there was something called cinema therapy. And I'm telling you this now, and again, it's not something that I studied, for my thesis. This is something that I discovered as I continued to walk, as I got up every day and made a decision to continue. And the pieces began to fall into place. So our objective there was met through the provision of this model that you'll hear a little more about later. Our deliverables, what we intend to get out of this project. We intend to empower individuals, because many times because we may be in the area of being stuck, we feel that there is nothing we can do about how we feel, or there is nothing that we can do because of what happened. And we feel victimized many times, not only by the incident, but by the system. Nobody was caught. The police didn't call me back. And we begin to keep sinking deeper and deeper into blame. Whether it's yourself, I should have locked the door. I should have done this. I should have done that. The police should have done this. My neighbor should have done that. And that can keep you in a miry clay for quite a while. I've been there. So understanding that the deliverables of this project is simply to empower the package and the project that Dr. Julia will deliver in a little while. It has so many keys and pillars to moving forward as an individual. On a community level, we just have to look at the papers. Neighborhoods are in fear. Many of us live in fortresses that we created for ourselves. 2 layers of burglar proofing. The electric gate, the razor wire, we all know the words. And many times this is simply a physical symptom or reflection of what's going on the inside. So we have communities that live in fear, and the project is intended to empower those communities as well, letting them know, hey, there is something that we can do. We don't have to sit and just be victims of circumstance. The stronger the community culture is fostered, we'd like to introduce, or not even introduce, reintroduce the concept of neighborhood watch, which is a universally approved model of empowering and enhancing safety in your community. There are very many practical things that we can do to help empower ourselves and our neighbors. So without further ado, we can identify the further aspects of the project. We are going to get into the details. There are 3 general phases of the project, and each of the phases headed by their own expertise. And those phases begin, of course, with training, which is why most of you all are here today. Training and empowering the group leaders that we intend to send out into the communities, empowering them on the techniques that they can guide a group through the recovery process. Then we move into the public cinema therapy aspect. We call it cinema therapy aspect simply because it's a movie that provides therapeutic aspects. So that the movie in itself, it is doubly powerful because it's a true story. It's not something Hollywood came up with. It's a true story, and the story is told by a man. Quite unique in this field of recovery, because many times men don't think that they need recovery. They probably think that we'll get over it. So it's quite unique that this man has stood up and identified with so many victims, male or female, around the world, and produced this movie to be part of this community model. Then we'll have Ms. Natalie O'Brady coming on as our group coordinator. She will be the person who will be spearheading the groups to be held at the various community centers and managing the group leaders and monitoring and evaluating the success of the groups as we go along to provide research for the project. So without further ado, let me invite Dr. Julia Douglas, who is the author of the recovery material that we will be identifying. She comes with a range of expertise with her MED in Human Development and Psychology from Harvard, her PhD in Education, and simply having wonderful opportunities for observational research, being married to Brooks Douglas. So I think she has a unique combination. I think only God could have done that. A unique combination that she was able to marry her professionalism and actually see living proof of the development of her guide. Can we welcome Julia Douglas?